It's high noon. Time for LA2M. Welcome. My name is Derek Maribon. Good to see you all. I run a little agency called Ingenix Digital Marketing in town here, and I tend to kick off these events when I'm in town. When I'm not, other people cover for me, like Jim Musial. Welcome to LA2M. This is our holiday edition. We decorated the room for you. It's very pretty. Thanks to Conor and for that. And is there anyone here for your very first LA2M? Can I see your hands? Anyone first timers? Okay. Welcome, folks. Welcome. You chose a good one. You chose a good one. They say you always remember your first LA2M. You're going to remember this one because great speaker and good entertainment jokes from me. But just to give you an idea of the format of this is we kick it off with talking for a little bit. We have a speaker who talks. There will be some Q&A, and then for the last 15 minutes you get to introduce yourself. So everyone will get to introduce yourself and tell us what you do. And then we always finish by 1 p.m., which is great. It's something we just do every month. Now this month, we skipped the Christmas party. We skipped the holiday party this year. And it's not like bah humbug. It's just like, hey, you know what, we wanted to get another speaker in. Because the parties are really fun. Conor does a great job, but we wanted to get another speaker in. So we're having this instead of the holiday party. But something we do at the holiday party, which would just take me a minute to do, I want to do a quick thanks to the board. LA2M is a volunteer organization. So we have some really great volunteers that we're checking you in. But it is board run. And real quick, I just wanted to call these guys up. Carter, you come up real quick. Carter's our photographer. This is a gift for you. Thank you, sir. Carter takes pictures at every meeting, and he doesn't charge us. It's just really generous, and he uploads them on Facebook. So he's a great guy. Feel free to use him for his photography. He's very good. Roger, you want to just get right there?
Yeah.
Here's Roger Rayle. Thank you, Roger. Let's give Roger a round of applause. Again, Roger is the definition of selfless. He brings in all this equipment. He records these, he live streams them. I mean, it's a wonderful service. It allows LA2M to stay cutting edge because we're live streaming. You know, we have people in Iceland and Reykjavik and then Thailand. LA2M is very popular everywhere, okay? So thanks to Roger. Jim Musial, Jim, come on down. Jim, there you go, Jim. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, you can stay up here. Jim is kind of our, well, he's, I guess, the vice president of the board. He does sponsorships, he does everything, he does a lot. He's a great guy, very enthusiastic, wonderful person. So thanks for your service, Jim. Stacy Collie, let's give her a little applause. Alright, there you go, thank you. Stacy's our treasurer. Oh wait, I'm gonna get a picture, I'll get this. Stacy's our treasurer.
I can't even see if I'm focused.
Yeah, it's so dark. Oh well.
Well, I may have to say that again.
Okay. Anyway, she's our treasurer. She's wonderful. She really helps out. She helps with the enthusiasm and organization of the group. So thank you, Stacy. So that was real quick. Yeah. We did just launch a new website. I hope you guys checked it out. LA2M.org. It was designed by 3.7 Designs. Ross Johnson does great work, and Lindsay Johnson. And then my company, Ingenix, built it. So again, we do web stuff too, but we let Ross do the design because he's really good at that. And it's LA2M.org, check it out. We have, Stephanie's going to be blogging today's program, which is kind of cool. So she's going to write down all the brilliant things that are talked about so we can start publishing more on the new website. And I'm going to let Jim talk about sponsorships real quick before we get started.
Hi everybody. Again, I'm Jim Musial. I do web and mobile development consulting, dabble in connected vehicle as well. But I really have a passion for LA2M and helping connect this great marketing community here in the Ann Arbor area. So thank you everybody for coming out today, and for you first timers, we hope you come back, bring a colleague with you, share LA2M with others. It is a great organization, it's a great place to network. But we exist because of you. You guys attending, which is always great. We exist because we bring in great speakers who come in every month and share the great marketing tips with all of you. But we also exist because of our sponsorship. We do a monthly sponsorship. I don't have a company this month, so if you were this month's sponsor, I'd be calling you up right now and handing you the microphone so you can tell us about your company and about you. So it's a great opportunity to get in front of everybody. We also share our monthly sponsorships on the emails that go out to everyone, and we have about 2,000 qualified recipients that receive the email each month. So it's a good opportunity to get some exposure. If you're interested in a monthly sponsorship, we also do annual sponsorships as well. Our annual sponsor, this will be for the last time for this year, is Briarwood Mall. They have been our gold sponsor for the last year, and great support. They have great marketing opportunities at the mall, so if you're interested, I can share the contact information, Denise Murray from Briarwood. But we're always looking for new corporate sponsors as well, so maybe if your organization would like to be a part of this, please see me and I'd be happy to talk to you about it and see what we can do for you. So we appreciate you being here again. Share LA2M with your friends and colleagues, and we look forward to seeing you again. So I'll let Derek take back over.
Thank you, Jim. Oh, the air conditioning. Okay, so we're about to get started here. Roger doesn't like the AC on because it makes noise for the video. But so our speaker today, this guy's awesome. His name's Dave Linabury. He is very talented. I've known Dave for years. I've worked with Dave. I had the pleasure of working with him. He's one of the most brilliant strategists I've ever worked with. He ran the entire digital department at Campbell Ewald. He's consulted on some very, very large projects and large clients. He's been doing a lot of consulting over the years, but his new company, Ronu, which is a cool name. He has a new company called Ronu, which is like a strategic digital company. And he's out in Birmingham. He has 2 amazing daughters and a talented wife. I mean, I don't know, this guy's got it all. But he's going to teach you something. I mean, he's got a provocative title, Why Isn't My Marketing Working Anymore? Which is a really good question. So Dave, would you please answer that for us? And let's give him a round of applause.
Says it is. Can you hear it? Hello?
Nope.
Nope.
I don't see a line.
All right, one more battery. And one more battery. Let's just try one more time. These are AC batteries.
I can just be loud, it's okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
All right.
You guys hear me in the back? Okay.
Use the handheld?
No, I can talk about it. It's okay. So I've been in advertising about 22 years, and I'm a 3rd generation advertiser. You know, I looked myself up on Ancestry.com. I am directly related to the double. So I want to talk about why things aren't working that you may have been doing for a long time, because I've noticed it's been the biggest question I've been getting from clients is, you know, I've been doing all the things right, and all the stuff I've been doing all these years stopped working, and I can't figure out why. And one of the biggest ones is our favorite company that we love and hate, and it's Google. And yeah, they've changed, and it's not cool. It's like the old love interest that you went, oh, what happened to you? They did change. If anything you did prior to 2014, if you're still doing that, it's probably not working anymore, especially if you're trying to do any kind of organic stuff. Maybe even your PPC ads or pay-per-click stuff not working anymore. It's because they changed their algorithm. They have to keep changing their algorithm all the time for 2 reasons. Biggest one is everybody in the world's using mobile now. And so they were thinking of things differently in terms of people in Africa. They're never going to get a computer, but they certainly need a mobile device. So that's their sole internet connection. And the other one is a lot of people don't use search the same way on mobile as they do on desktop. You tend to ask things like, where's a pizza? You don't type that into your computer generally. People tend to do things like radius, pizza, 5 miles. And no one speaks that way. And Google's trying to become more like us, which is really scary. But they're actually doing a good job of getting smarter and smarter and smarter. Spammers are getting smarter, that's hurting them too. So the biggest one is like, if you guys do any kind of organic search stuff and it stopped working, it's because they had 3 big algorithm changes over the last 2 years, called all named after birds and there's penguin and hummingbird and pigeon. And all of them had to do with Google getting smarter about things. Google doesn't care if you have keywords anymore. If you're interested in doing all that research for keywords, just stop doing it. You're wasting your time. All they care about is that you know your subject matter. If any marketer has been telling you to write 300-word pages, Google's telling you to write 1,200-word web pages. That's a lot to read. And it's not a clean page necessarily. If you're trying to get those nice, pretty designs that don't have a lot, you're actually going to have a serious talk with your art director about, look, I got a business decision to make here. You know, I can make the page short and pretty, or I can actually make some money. And making money kind of comes first. So Google wants to see you as an expert on what you do and what you sell. And if you don't do that, they're going to give it to the next person who will write 1,200 words. And what they mean is, it's not just repetitive stuff. They want you to actually prove you're an expert on your subject. So if you're writing on Irish pubs, you better have every single thing about Irish pubs and specific pages for each one. Did you raise your hand? No? Okay, I was thinking, you can interrupt me, I don't care. This is the one you'll hear people say, you'll see it in articles all the time, just make great content and you'll get there. Well, it's true, but they don't ever tell you how, because those guys that write those articles don't know, for the most part. And it's really, you can't just tell someone make great content and all of a sudden they turn into Harper Lee overnight. It's not going to happen. You have to know how to write. That means maybe taking some writing classes. It means maybe going on YouTube or copyblogger.com or some places like that, learning how to write better. And sometimes it's just one way I always found. I never took a writing class in my life. You know how I learned how to write really well? I just write the way I speak. I write like I'm speaking to my best friend, and people really like that. If you write the way you talk to your best friend, people will read your content because it'll be very engaging and feel very personal to them. And it's perfectly okay to write business copy that way, unless you're doing a technical subject. Then, okay, go ahead, write third person, you have to. But if you have a normal business, go ahead. People like it. I mean, you look at sites that do really, really well, are really engaging, like MailChimp and Flickr, some of those, they have great writing, and it's because they just write like they're talking to you. Make sense? Yeah. Another one is people don't necessarily always know their audience, and the worst thing I get sick of hearing is they never ask their customers anything, and I'm like, what do you mean you don't ask them what they want? Well, I have the product. I already know they want this. I'm like, really? Okay, how come your sales are flat? And this is the other one I get. Well, you know, Apple doesn't do any focus groups. Well, that's really not true. They do a couple. And they've also had some magnificent failures on some products. Remember the Cube? No. The G4 Cube died. The Newton died. Apple Pay, not doing real well right now, and that's a new product, not doing well. It's not that, Apple's different though. You can't take Apple or Tesla as models for yourself because you're not them. You don't have $26 billion of cash to blow on R&D. They do. Elon Musk is crazy. He puts every bit of profit back into R&D. He doesn't care. He will go bankrupt on his own and pay his employees out of his visa to make sure he's got R&D. That's not a sustainable business model because he's going to be a broke man, but he wants to know that he can go to Mars and stuff, whatever. So don't try to say like, well, we're going to be like Apple. They don't listen to their customers. They just find a niche. Yeah, and they do it over and over again because they've got 30,000 employees and $26 billion. It's a different thing. And they're special. We can't ever compare themselves to them. I hear GM say that all the time. We want to be like Apple. Okay, invent a new car that no one's ever thought of, that fits a new niche that no one's ever had. You don't do that. You make average cars. They're fine. They're fine. That's what you do. You do fine. And you do really good fine. But you don't do Apple, and you will not, and you can't. So don't try to be them, and don't use them as a business model, because you're never going to be them. The only thing you should ever try and copy from Apple is the design of their website. Nice. Be nice and clean like that. But otherwise, they're just so special. They're a different company. They're not like other ones. Here's how you find out, though, what your customers want. Bug your friends and tell them to be brutally honest with you. Am I doing something stupid? Would you buy this? Is this awful? Please tell me, and tell them to be brutal. They will. Your friends will tell you the honest truth about things. Run cafe tests. I actually get credit for this. It's in all the usability books, but it was a term I invented a long time ago, about 20 years ago. Cafe testing is, if you've ever tried to do like usability or focus group tests, you know they're not cheap. They can be like $30,000. And that's expensive. And they often take 6 weeks to do recruiting for them. Cafe testing is much simpler. The idea is, go to Starbucks, buy 12 $10 coffee cards, and ask people, will you come over here and talk to me? I'll give you a Starbucks card. The reason you want 12 is because at 6 you get statistically significant behavioral numbers with people, because we're that similar.
Oh, sorry, we fixed it.
Okay.
Good. For the people in the cheap seats.
So if you do 12, you're going to have pretty good statistics, and you're not going to have even 25%. You're going to have nice strange numbers.
Now you can move back there.
Move back. Is this better? Okay.
Thank you.
Take polls. Use free poll tools. They're all over the internet on your website. Ask people all the time, what do you think of this? Give them free access to new products. If you've got regular customers that buy a lot of stuff, target them and email them. Ask them specifically, hey, I got something private, and you are a good customer. I want you to see this. Try it out. Let me know what you think. If it sucks, please tell us. There's nothing wrong with admitting something's not working and starting over, because it's better than trying to go through with it, push on, and realize, oh my God, I just lost everything. Right? I'll give you an example. So this is I just launched this with some friends of mine. There's a little device that they made that clips onto Apple Watches so you can hang Pandora charms from Apple Watches. Doesn't exist, didn't exist. Now, Pandora's already called, Swarovski Crystals is already called, Thomas Sable's already called. They're very, very interested in this. So these guys are going to make millions of dollars. But they listened. They didn't do what Apple did, which was, Apple made a big mistake when they put out the watch. They assumed guys would buy it. Guys have not been buying it. Well, not entirely. Some guys have been buying it, specifically gay males and women. And they didn't expect that. They thought this would be like the tech device for hardcore nerdy guys, and it didn't turn out to be that. It turned out to be a fashion item. Now they're running back and doing all their commercials over it. If you notice, all their commercials only have women in them. They don't show any guys using them anymore because they're not selling to them, and that's not who's buying it. It's all women. And these guys were like, if women are buying the Apple Watch, maybe we should do something with that. And they came up with this idea of doing this Pandora bead thing. Plus, they listened to Pandora. Pandora said, we don't have a next act. We're stuck with our beads, and all the millennial girls hate our bracelet. They said it looks like an old lady thing. So they were stuck, so they wanted something new. So now they got something that's like the idea of finding a niche product, but it comes from listening to who the audience is and what they actually want, and not just trying to go, yeah, this is a great idea, we're going to push this. You know, Apple made a mistake. They're jumping on Apple's mistake in that data. And this is another one I get. You don't understand, my customers are not aligned. Every time someone says that to me, I want to just slap them upside the head. Especially, and I hear it from like people in industries like healthcare and stuff. I'm like, are you serious? It's not just people in manufacturing, and you'd be surprised how many people in manufacturing are heavy online users. They are online. 85% of Americans are right online. This is the latest. I'll give you every statistic I'm giving you is from a month ago. Okay. This is the newest. Of the remaining 15% who are not online, there's some very interesting overlaps in them. Number one is that the older people, you always say that, oh, there's like none of the older people over 65. Now it's down to 39% that are not online of older people, and I mean 65 plus. That's dropped significantly. It used to be 88% in 2001. So it's really low. This is another one. No high school. Most of the people who are not online do not have a high school education. I don't mean that they're elementary school kids. I mean they're adults who didn't go to high school or didn't finish high school. This is a big issue for them. And unfortunately, it's putting them in a place where they're not going to get out of their situation by not being online. And this is the second part that overlaps with that same crowd, is it's people who are generally earn less than $30,000. Now, in other parts of the world, the people who are poor are finding ways to get a mobile device, and that's their internet connection, and they're using it. But in America, they seem to just be like, that's the first thing they'll give up. And then there's, we also have issues racially. Black and Latino audiences, it's like tends to be almost 1 out of 5 will not go online. And 14% of whites, 5% of Asians are online. Nose up. Another one is if your site's not mobile ready. Derek brought this up earlier about mobile design. Responsive design is something his company specialized in. It's a big thing. If you don't have what Google is looking for, and Bing too, are both being very harsh about this. 12% of the sites got dropped out of their index last year for not being mobile friendly. That's a lot. And the reason is everyone's using mobile, and 64% now have smartphones, not mobile phones, smartphones. It's closer to 100% on phones. This is what I was talking about when people tell me they don't, their customers aren't online. 64% of people who are using smartphones are using them for health information, and it's all kinds. So if you, even if you just have like a food blog or a yoga blog or something, you better have a mobile-ready site because people are looking that information up. So it's not just the hospitals, but they are looking that up a lot. And you think about instances like that, like your kid gets sick, something weird at school, all of a sudden you look at what is this? You know, you run to WebMD or something. Another 57% are using it for banking. 44% are using it for real estate, mostly on the spot when they see a house. So if you're a realtor and you don't have a mobile-ready site, you're getting screwed. This is really interesting. 43% are researching jobs, but only 18% are actually applying online. There's a good reason for that. Think about how hard it would be to type a resume on your phone or an application. And no one's figured out how to make that a voice-to-text thing, and they should, because that would be brilliant if they do that. Because right now it's just a painful process, and anyone, if that's their only way of getting a job is to apply online and they only have a phone, man, they're going to have 2 hours of typing and retyping to get that in there. 40% are using it for government stuff. Probably, I think a lot of it ends up being local things, like looking up where they can get their license renewed or tabs and things like that. And then 30% for online education. So if any of you do any kind of online courses, and it's any kind, or there's a third of the people are looking for them on their phone. And then this is another one. Is people, well, my crowd are mostly older, so they're not online. Okay, again, I get to burst your bubble, because yeah, they are. And by the way, I'm 50 plus. 92% of people over 50 are texting. 92%. 80% of people over 50 are using the internet every single day. 94 of them are using it for video and voice calls. 87% for email. 55% are completely active on social networks. So don't say they're not on there. Because that's the other argument I get is, well, it's just something my kid does. No, everyone's pretty much gotten used to this by now. They're all on it. And if the person that's saying no, you're the one. You're the one guy in the neighborhood that's not. 31% are watching videos, and 22% are people over 50 are streaming music every day. And these numbers are rising very, very rapidly, especially the last two about video and streaming music. That's going to become a normal thing. It's going to become a normal thing to stream music in your car, all these things. And if you're not thinking about that, or thinking about having your service on mobile, you're really losing out fast, and you better get on that quick, because everybody else has already figured that stuff out. So those are some big problems. Now I'm going to tell you how you can fix them. Number one, obviously, responsive design. Responsive design is not, I have a website and I have a mobile site. That is the old school way of doing things. Responsive means one site is kind of flexible, like a rubber band, and it looks at what size viewport or screen it's coming to. So it doesn't matter if it's a 30-inch iMac or an internet refrigerator or a Game Boy, a PlayStation, a mobile phone. It will find a way to adapt itself properly and look and give the proper experience to you on that device. That's another big thing. It's not just having a flexible site. Think about things. You don't use your mobile device, your iPad, the same way you use your desktop. So just because it fits doesn't mean it's a good experience. Hover, if you've got like hover states and those are critical, that doesn't work on mobile, doesn't work on tablets. So you've just lost, if you've got information that, well, they'll see it on hover, they'll see these big tool tooltips that'll explain everything. No, they won't. People on mobile didn't see anything, and they can't. So you gotta figure something else out for them. Think about how they use it. They're not using a mouse. They're using touch gestures. They're using pinching and zooming and swiping and possibly speaking. Voice as a mouse is a very real phenomenon, and it's going to be the way we do everything. I don't think we're going to, it can be pretty annoying for a while hearing people talking their phones all the time. But that's how we are going to be moving towards that. And that means you need to think about your websites differently, right? Your TV's already there. If you have X1, you probably have tried talking to the channels and telling it to find things, and it's pretty good. It's getting there. If you don't know if your site does this, because someone else does it for you and you don't have any, just Google Mobile Ready Test. They have it's just one little form, you paste your website in and hit it, and it'll tell you right away if they consider it mobile ready or not. And if it passes them, it'll also pass Bing. Because they're both pretty much using the same kind of definitions for what's acceptable. You really should do it, even if you think your site's responsive, because Google has some really stringent requirements, but they'll tell you how to fix them. And if you have someone that does your site for you, you can go, hey, look, we didn't pass, and this is what we got to do to fix it. And it's free. You don't have to sign in or anything. It's just a paste it in and go. Writing better content. We talked about this earlier, but people a lot of times think their content's great because they think it's great. There's a big difference between what you think's great and what they do. If they don't want to share it, it's not great. If you don't see social media shares of your content, it's not that great. Or it's not relevant to anybody at the time. And unfortunately, social media sharing is 60% of what Google and Bing use for their signal. 60%. So if you don't get that, you're only getting 40% of your search power out of what you're doing. People who are getting a lot of shares are doing a lot better than you. And they always will, because they figured that out. Okay? There's no magic secret to that. It's just, did you make something people are interested in? And it doesn't mean you have to talk about your company 24/7. You can talk about things your company's interested in. You can post a nice picture of a sunrise coming over your building once in a while on Instagram. It's fine. People like that. They'll share those things. Guess what? They'll come back to see if you ever do something like that again. If you want to see a company who gets that stuff right, look at Harvard University. Man, they do all kinds of really fun things with their social media. Texas A&M University does too. They get it. And they don't always talk about registration and stuff. In fact, they rarely do. But they make you interested in their school because they talk about how fun it is to go there. And I thought of Harvard as fun, but they make it seem that way. But it also, if people are sharing this stuff on their own, you're not paying them and you're not asking them to. If you are paying them or asking them to, you aren't doing anything authentic or real. You are just, a marketing show. How many of you have done a boosted Facebook post? If you haven't done it, it's like $5 to reach another 1,000 people. It's easy. You don't have to make a special ad. If you just happen to write something that was kind of cool that day, that you think your company would benefit from, just hit boost and see what, it'll tell you right away how many people, and if you want to spend a couple more dollars than $5, every dollar you cranks that number up. They work really, really well. Facebook Insights. How many of you look at those at least once a week? 2, 3, 4, 5. Facebook Insights is part of your business page. Just as Insights, click on it, you'll see how old all the men and women are, how much time they spent, what they liked, what they didn't like, what kind of posts reached them the best. Did they like pictures better? Did they like photos better? Did they like text better? Every day it'll tell you those things, and it'll graph it over time for you. It gives you actually a lot of data, like the way Google Analytics does, but it's not as intimidating as Google Analytics can be. And it's actually easier to find things, because Google Analytics is getting really, really mucked up. Although we still need it. Pinterest added analytics recently. Did anyone try it yet? One. Okay. Pinterest analytics, they're going to do the same thing. You're going to be able to find out. And if you have any kind of retail stuff and you're not on Pinterest, you're losing out. Pinterest is the only social network that is actually bringing sales to companies. I don't mean visits, I mean sales, because you can directly buy from the pins, which is pretty cool. So if you are not doing that, please start doing it and look at their analytics, because they'll tell you a lot about the people coming there. I know Pinterest doesn't ask a lot of data when you sign up. They don't really, it's not like Facebook where you can really fill out a biography there. But they can tell a lot from what you pin and what you like, what kind of person you are, and what your interests are, and that's what matters to you. And Google Analytics, it's a drag, I know, if you ever have to go through it. It really is. And here's the things that you should only, the only things you really have to look at on there. Behavioral flow is a cool little chart, and it shows where they come from, where they go next, where they go next, where they go next. It only goes in 3D. But it's kind of interesting to see, did they go back to the home page? Did they drop off right away? And it's just this big green flow, but it just shows you what pages they went through, the first 3 pages. And that's interesting stuff to know. The next one is your bounce rate. Bounce rate is people who came to your site and left right away. And it's a big lie among media companies. They will tell you what your impressions are and make it look like you're getting, oh, look at this, you got a 0.01 click-through rate to your site. Yeah, and then look at the bounce rate of Google Analytics, it says 70%, which means the number of people who actually went to your site was 70% of 0.01%, which is like 2 guys, you know, out of 1 million. It's like, it's so stupid, and they don't tell you that. Because if they told you the bounce rate, people would stop buying display ads, right? Because it's a big lie. And I'm sick of it. People need to know and fix their bounce rate. And the bounce rate is really, how do you keep them on the site? You know, did you promise them one thing in the ad and give them something else? Is the text even different? That's a stupid thing, but having the same headline on your ad as the page they go to, oh yeah, I'm in the right place. Yes?
If your website redirects from www to www, does that impact your bounce rate?
No, but it does impact, sometimes if you haven't set it up right, your SEO. Google, if you don't set up for Google to know that both of those versions of your site are correct and are the same site, they'll treat them as different sites. And you'll get half your analytics. Because there's still a lot of people that type in www, even though you haven't had to do that for 10 years, they still do it. And there's some sites that for some reason never caught on the fact that you don't have to do that anymore and didn't remove it. There's also, if you have a secure site, if you have HTTPS with a little lock, you need to let them know that too. They will treat that. But someone has to go into Google Search Console, which used to be called Google Webmaster Tools. I don't know why they changed the name. Search Console is terrible. But you have to go in there and let them know. And it's not a big deal. It's literally a checkbox. Yes, these are both mine. But yeah, that's a good question, because no, it doesn't affect the ad, but it will affect SEO a lot. Exit pages are where people leave. When they went to your site, what page did they leave your site on? That's really, really important. It's almost more important than what the top pages are, because you can find out what people hate. And also, what's the lowest pages? I didn't write it up here, but I look at this too. It's like, which pages are people not looking at? Because if it's something important, what did I do wrong? Is it buried in the nav? If it's really hard to find, and it's an important page, maybe I need to restructure the site, or maybe I need to do something to make people get there. Because that's a really killer thing. It's like, if you have a great page and no one's reading it, and they're reading the pages you don't really care about, there's a problem, and you're not going to get business that way. Top pages is pretty a no-brainer. You want to know which pages are performing, and hopefully it's, and remember, don't put all your eggs on the home page. That's not your only basket, and Google doesn't send you there. It often sends you inside, because if someone's looking up something, and it happens to be a subtopic of your site, they're going to the inside page, they're going to get sent there, and they're not getting sent to your home page, and don't assume they're going to back their way out. They might not ever go off to the front. And especially if you have it worked out where we've got this story that takes them through, and art directors love to do that. They love to make a thing that starts on the home page and works you through. Well, if someone comes in the middle, they don't know the story, and they're out of context, and they're kind of like, what is this? They won't get that. So think about that. Think about every page in your site as being a home page. You'll do a lot better. Think about every page in your site being an FAQ on its subject. And I don't mean write it like an FAQ, but you could, because Google wants to see answers. Have you noticed the new thing there now, where sometimes you type in a question, and it literally will pull a definition from someone's website, and you don't even have to go, oh, it's right here. They're pulling the best definition from any website. They don't care how big you are or how small you are. If you write the best definition, they're going to use it. So if you write those pages like that, if you write in terms of what are the questions I get all the time, what does my call center always hear? What's the old lady that answers the phone for us? She's always complaining about this one thing. What was that one thing? Make sure we answer that. And then errors. And the thing why we look at errors is, what if your form isn't working and you didn't know? What if it's not accepting payments properly? Oops. You know, that's kind of a big thing. And we don't want that. So you want to look at those things and see, especially on form completions, like Amazon spends millions of dollars on this, watching where people go. And I don't know if you ever noticed, but the page gets simpler and simpler as you go through the buying process. They take away the navigation. They take away all the million obnoxious related posts and reviews and get you down to just a plain page because they know they can't distract you. And the more you're distracted, the less likely you are to finish a purchase. So don't put things on there like, hey, here's another chance to get that promo in there. Don't do that. They won't do it. They will get off of what they were doing and forget that they were buying, and people do. We're all distracted. Did you all hear that we have lower attention spans than goldfish now? Yeah, there used to be a joke like 10 years ago, goldfish have a 9-second attention span. Yeah, now humans it's 8.5 seconds. So we're worse than goldfish. So think about that when you are putting your page together, that you have 8.5 seconds and they're gone. And I don't mean just leaving the site, but I mean they just don't even know what you're talking about anymore. They don't care. Makes sense? This would be a good time to ask me. You can hammer me because I don't care.
I got the mic if I have a question.
What do you think about the effectiveness of Facebook ads?
Some of them work great. Some of them don't. Most of it comes down to people didn't target their audience right. A lot of people, this is a big mistake I hear marketers do too. They have a product, they know it goes to a certain crowd, but they don't want that crowd. They want a different crowd. Are you stupid? It's money. I'll give you a good example. When I was back at Camp Leewald, the Camaro got reintroduced. They didn't want it to go to redneck guys with shirts unbuttoned and big gold chains. I'm like, that's who bought it before. Why wouldn't you want to do that again? No, we want to sell it to upscale women with college degrees. Oh, no. Oh, no, this is the crowd we want. But that's not who buys it. Oh, no. You'll see. We have much more wisdom than you advertisers have been around 100 years. Okay. Guess who bought it? Redneck guys with open shirts and gold chains. They did not get what they wanted. They got the old crowd. It was a waste of money. And they were told, oh, I can't believe this. We got our old crowd back. It's like, yeah, you think? You can't change your crowd and expect people. Remember Kmart when they tried to change and become upscale? What happened? They lost all their poor people that were going there. Now they're nowhere. JCPenney tried the same thing. You can't get away from it. If you've got a niche crowd, stick with them. Don't insult them or feel like, oh, I don't like that crowd, I want this one. Then make a different product. But if you have a crowd, be happy that you have a crowd and stick with them and keep marketing to them. You know?
Hi. This is a question about clicking and numbers of clicks. So I have a couple questions about that. You were saying don't put all your eggs on the home page. But I have this one site I manage, and everybody wants their thing on the home page because they don't want
Territory
people to have
wars.
to click. There seems to be this growing...
That's the big lie that people don't click. If people are interested, have you ever noticed sometimes you go on a site and you realize, oh my God, I lost so much time here. Because it was good. And you just kept going through things. You get on those kind of like serendipity things where you're just like, oh man, how did I get here?
So there's no research that says people...
Oh, there's tons of research showing that people do not care how many clicks there are if the content is good. And if what you're presenting to them is easy to use and interesting to them or useful to them. If it is not, yes, they notice the clicks right away.
Well, I was wondering if this is why, WordPress has this flat design. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's just because the whole world's moved to flat design.
So that's what I'm wondering is what is your take on those flat designs?
It's a trend. That's just a trend that's going, I'm not kidding, it's a trend because people got it. Apple started this thing when they were doing those like, almost like photorealistic buttons and icons, and people were like, icons are supposed to be recognizable from a distance, not tiny photographs. And Windows was doing it too. Everybody was trying to get into glossy transparency, slow your computer down things, and someone said, why don't we just go to flat, cleaner design and make it easier for mobile devices to load them? Oh yeah, okay. So it'll go away. It's a thing for now. Who knows how long it'll last. But I mean, this was around on the internet in the beginning too. Everyone did flat design for a while, and that went away and came back. It's just a design trend. There's also a big push of people doing crazy filigree sites too, with lots of Victorian-looking things, and it's very heavily steampunk influenced. So it's just, these are just trends. Don't worry about that. WordPress is just trying to keep up with what everybody else is doing. But no, to your point though, you're right. Clicks, it doesn't matter, and if they're all fighting for the home page, go ahead, fight. I'll put better content back in the inside pages, and I'll get the traffic. You go ahead, fight. Because they do that. People will do that. There's territory wars on the homepage. You're both kind of the same thing.
With the, you were talking about the need for longer content to help with the search engine optimization.
Yeah.
But then you're also talking about the trend of marketing or mobile usage, and I'm just wondering, like, I know when I'm using my phone, like, I don't
1,200 words is a lot to read.
1,200 words on a
Yeah,
little
so
phone.
there's a trick called progressive disclosure. Information architects invented it, and of course it has to have a long name because they have to have long names for everything. And I am an information architect, so I wholeheartedly endorse having long names for everything. Progressive disclosure means show this much. If they want to see more, load more, load more, load more. If they want to keep seeing more details. That's why a lot of times you'll see things like, here's the excerpt, read the whole story. Or if you've ever seen on some sites like Medium now, they have things that says TLDR. You know what that is? That's right, too long didn't read. And it's just a summary for people who don't feel like reading the whole thing. So you better make the whole point in there. But TLDR is a good thing to do for short, quick bursts of, because we are fitting that 8.5 second attention span. But yeah, let people who want to read, because there are people who will read the whole thing, and they do want to investigate and research what you have to say, especially if it's good. So let them do it, but you can do it in chunks, so they don't have to see it all at once.
So that won't hurt the SEO, though it considers it all be one page?
No, it still gets read, because it's physically in the code.
Okay.
It's just not displayed until it's asked for. So Google doesn't read what's displayed on your screen. Google looks at what's behind in the code.
That was my question.
With one exception. Have you been to sites where they show like 3 or 4 tabs, not in the nav, but like down, look at specifications or something, and there's a couple tabs down the page, like I know Apple has it when you're buying a product, but a lot of products have this. Cars have it too, where there's like these little yeah, like little index cards almost. Right. Those do not get read. Only the first one gets read. And it's because of the way they're coded. Google doesn't read past the first one. So that's one that I would recommend against doing, unless it doesn't matter what's behind the other ones. Make sure the most important ones up front. If you have to use that design, and if an art director tries to tell you that they want to do it that way, you tell them, no, and here's why. Yep.
You got time for one, maybe 2 more questions.
I work in a specific industry where it's a financial industry and the information is available in other forms. And we try to simplify it for them, but it's really one of those things that can't be simplified. So we are embarking on a strategy where we're trying to just get people to call us, and I don't know at all how to present that. Our website, my point is that our website has a lot of information, and I want to promote it and make us look like experts and do all the things that you are suggesting, but people don't want to read that. They don't want to know how to fill out a W-4 in writing. Because they have to go to the IRS website and find that. They want us to do it for them. So I'm not sure where to spend my money.
If they want you to do it for them, then maybe that's the right thing to do, or maybe there's a way of doing some kind of like online wizard or something where it helps them through one question at a time. A good example is, how many of you have used TurboTax before?
Yeah.
It's pretty simple
Yeah, they're like our
way of
competitor.
reducing the complexity of taxes down to just one question at a time.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to do that. The other way is, that I did for a financial company a long time ago, and they had all these like ridiculous little weird loans that were hard to explain. We did stick figure cartoons on YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they're hilarious, and people liked them.
That's a good idea.
I mean, we made it that simple.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question about blogging.
Yeah,
Yeah. So people with blogs, you hear frequency things. Oh, you need to blog once a day, 3 times a week, 5 times a week, or whatever, once a week. But then you got 1,200
There's
words.
no rules to that.
Okay. So
Yeah,
what
here's
works
your-
then?
let me fix that for you right now.
Okay.
20% of your time should be blogging, 80% should be promoting the post that you did, so that you're not wasting time writing. You can't write 1,200 words 3 times a week if you make metal fasteners. I'm sorry, it's not gonna happen. There's no way you can do that. But you can write the best post on metal fasteners ever, and then spend a lot of time making sure that everybody who ever needs a metal fastener finds that post. And that would be a much better use of time.
But what if you are a small business like we do, leadership development?
Okay, so that's a big topic that is interesting more often.
Right, I've built a little bit of a following with, I write in bullet points,
Mhm.
and my posts are oftentimes 150 words. So I've just killed myself.
Well, not necessarily. If you occasionally do some long ones, Google will like that you're still writing and see that you're posting a lot, but they won't necessarily index those short ones as being, unless they happen to be a definition of something, they won't necessarily index them. But they will notice that you're posting, and they'll keep coming back, because that's the one thing that they were trying to tell people was the more you post, the more Google comes back, and more Bing comes back, and it's true. They do pay attention to that. But yeah, you're right. No one can write 1,200 words every day. So you can write 1,200 words once a month.
Okay.
All right. Let's give a big round of applause to Dave Linabury, folks. Thank you, Dave.